In this lecture, we're going to talk about Qt Quick layouts. These layouts work like row, column, and grid, the components we've seen before, but they add the capability to resize your user interface when the parent window is resized. We're going to go to Qt Creator and play with this. Here we are in Qt Creator. We're going to create a new project. It's a Qt Quick application. We're going to call it Layouts Demo. Hit Next. Choose the latest version of Qt you have installed here and choose your kit. We are going to change the title here. It's going to say Layouts Demo. To use Qt Quick layouts, you have to import them first. Okay, they are not part of Qt Quick. We're going to say import Qt Quick layouts, and we're going to select 1.3 here. And if we look in the documentation and search for, we're going to find an entry that says Qt Quick layouts. Let's select this one. And they say that it is a set of QML types that you use to arrange items in a user interface. And unlike regular positioners that we have seen, row, column, and grid, Qt Quick layouts can also resize their items. This makes them well suited for resizable user interfaces. This is really one of their strengths. They resize the user interface when the parent window resizes. So there are different layouts that you can use in here. We're going to look at row layout, column layout, and grid layout. You can click on these links to learn more on these UI components. We're going to start with the grid layout. We're going to give it an ID. We are going to make it fill the parent. We want it to have 3 columns. So we're going to choose the columns property and specify that we want 3 of them. And we are going to put some content inside. We are going to put in a few rectangles. This is going to be the top left rectangle. Its width is going to be 70. Its height is going to be equal to its width. It's going to have a color of green. We are going to copy this a few times. Let's do the first row first. This is top center. This is top right. The colors we change. So we're going to put the second row. We're going to call this center left. I am taking you through the process of typing this because I don't want you to be lost. Sometimes students don't see where things are coming from. So if this is lengthy for you, please be patient. Here we're going to say center. And this is going to say center right. Okay, we are trying to build the grid structure we have built before with 9 rectangles inside. This should bring us to the third row. And we put our 3 rectangles here. We say bottom, left, bottom center, and bottom right. We should change the colors. So green, red, blue, beige, pink, for example, say yellow, say magenta, say yellow green, and say Dodger blue. Okay, this should do it. And the other thing I want to do is to change the width and height for the other rectangles except the first one. You're going to see why. Okay, we change this to 100. Copy this and paste in all the other places. 100, 100. Okay. By now we have a grid layout inside our window here. And inside we have 9 rectangles. The first one is 70-70 in width and height. And all the others are 100 in width and height. And they have different colors as you see here. Before we run, we want to adjust the width and height of this window to adjust to the contents of this grid layout. So we're going to say its width equals mgrid layout ID implicit width, and its height should be and you should notice that we also set this to have 3 columns. Now we should run our thing and see how it looks. You see that we have 9 rectangles inside. When we resize the window, the layout is trying to resize with this window here. This is a behavior you don't have with row and column components. You can also turn this into a row or column layout. We're going to try that actually. So let's say row layout. And you automatically see that the row doesn't have this columns property. So we should comment it out if we want to run our code. It's going to be on one row from left to right. Okay, you've seen this. We can also do column layout. It is in one column. Let's turn this to a grid component so that you can see the difference. Let's uncomment the column here and run. And hopefully you see the difference between a grid component and a grid layout component. The grid layout allows you to resize the contents of the cells when the parent window resizes. Okay, this is the behavior we have here. Another thing I want you to see is that you can set how the contents of a cell behave when the parent window resizes. Okay, for example, we can instruct this green rectangle to fill the available width and height. And the way you do that, you come into this rectangle because it is an element of this grid layout now, and you use an attached property of layout. So you say layout fill width, set this to true, say layout fill height, set this to true. Run again. You see that green is now filling the available width and height, even if it was 70 in width and height, while others were 100 in width and height. And notice what happens when we resize our window. Okay, you see that the green rectangle is doing its best to fill the available width and height. Okay, so these are properties you want in all of your rectangles if you want to have a uniform looking grid layout. So we're going to paste them in every place in here. Okay, let's run. And we shouldn't see a difference in what we see when we run the application. But if we resize, all the windows now are resizing to the same width and height. because they all are instructed to fill the available width and height. Another thing you can do is specify the maximum width or height that a cell can have. And we're going to try this on the yellow rectangle here. So we can say layout, maximum width. Let's say that we only allow it to be 200 in width, and layout maximum height, and allow it to be only 150 high. Let's run again and watch the yellow rectangle, which is here. If we resize in this direction, you see that it goes at some distance and stops growing, and you see that the blue rectangle here is now trying to occupy its space. If you try to expand in height, it's going to get to 150 and it's not going to grow anymore, and you see that there is space around it because it can't go beyond 150 in height. Another thing you might specify is the alignment of your components in the grid layout. Let me show you what I mean. I am going to turn off the filling of the available width and height and run again. You see the green rectangle is 70 in width and height, and it is aligned to the left. Okay, if you want it to be to the right here, the way you could do that, you could say layout alignment and say cute align right. Okay, if you run, you can specify the top, bottom, left, horizontal center, or vertical center. If you want to see all the possible options, you can actually come here, click on cute and say align, and you're going to see different options you can use. You can use align bottom, align center, align horizontal center, align left, align right, align top, align vertical center. You can use all these things if you are in the mood for that. For example, if we say align center, it's going to be in the center. And here it is in the center. Another thing you can specify is the row span or column span for a contained item in the grid layout. For example, if we took out this blue rectangle here, we could instruct the red rectangle here to fill these two cells. And the way you do that, we go back to our code, find the blue rectangle, comment it out. You don't want to delete it because you might want to use it later. And we come to the red rectangle and say layout, column span, and say 2. Okay, we want this red rectangle to go across 2 columns, this column and this column. Let's run the application. 2 columns. You can do the same thing. For example, we can take out this pink rectangle and instruct the beige rectangle here to span 2 rows. We're going to do that. Center left rect, we want to say layout, row span, and say 2. And take out the bottom left rectangle, which is magenta. It's not pink. I'm sorry for that. If we run, the beige rectangle should be going down and filling the available space. Now you know how to use row span and column span to suit your needs. The other property we want to look at is layout direction. What is layout direction? It holds the layout direction of the grid layout. It controls whether items are laid out from left to right or right to left. If we were starting from right to left, the green rectangle should be up to the right here. So let's try this. We're going to go back to our code and on top here, add layout direction and say cute right to left. Let's run the application. The green rectangle should be to the right now because the layout direction is reversed. Things are starting from the right. And you see that our Bezier rectangle here also goes to the right. I hope this makes sense. Okay, this covers all I had to say in this lecture. I hope you have a better idea of how you can use Qt Quick layouts to your advantage, and they really provide resizing capabilities for your contained items. In the next lecture, we're going to look at the last component of this chapter, and that one is flow. I'll see you there.